Hello, welcome to Sea Siren ASMR. I'm Janine. Today I want to read National Geographic. The article in the December 2017 issue called The Shrinking Kingdom of the Jaguar. Look at these beautiful babies in the tree. And their mama. A mother grooms her cubs on the banks of the Tre Iramos River in Pantanal. Jaguars mate at any time of year and bear a litter of 1 to 4 after about 100 days. When the cubs are a couple of months old, the mother begins weaning them, exposing them to wounded prey to help them learn hunting skills. By Chip Brown, photographs by Steve Winter. Maestro Juan Flores's apprentices brought my passport to the spirit world of jaguars in a small plastic chalice. It contained La Medicina, a syrupy brown decoction of chacruna leaves and ayahuasca vines, boiled down at the start of the ceremony. The maestro consecrated the brew with exhalations of mapacho smoke, the wild Amazon tobacco, and then he began filling the chalice, pouring doses of several ounces for each of the congregants. Peruvian shaman Maestro Juan Flores stands by the boiling river, once avoided by locals because of deadly jaguars and otherworldly forces. Today only jaguars are here, those he beckons from the spirit world. Maestro Juan sought traditional cures here after he was shot in the legs. He later founded the Mayan Toyaku Shamanic Healing Center nearby. Alan Rabinowitz broadly calls the Jaguar Culture Corridor This domain encompasses the habits and migration paths that his conservation organization, Panthera, is trying to protect to ensure the survival of the estimated 100,000 jaguars and the vitality of their gene pool. Small bats zigzagged the rafters. Two dangling bulbs held back the darkness of the forest. The medicine was doled out silently over the Drone River, where wraiths of steam swayed in edibles of cool night air. When the apprentices came to me, I got on my knees, and in old Roman Catholic habits, maybe, or just what everyone else was doing. One apprentice handed me the chalice. Another stood by with a glass of water. As you might, before stepping off a cliff, I hesitated, thinking of what the well-known curandero Don Jose Campos had always told me in the busy Peruvian port of Pucallpa a few days before. "You don't take ayahuasca," he said. "It takes you." I tipped the cup and drank. I had come to see Maestro Juan at Mayantuyacu, the shamanic healing center he founded in the 1990s, hoping to learn more about the jaguars, particularly those aspects of the animals that can't be captured in camera traps. Panthera onca are the apex carnivores of North and South America. They are at once regal and ferocious, unrivaled in stealth, at home in rivers, on jungle ground, in trees, their eyes glittering in the dark, with the tapetum lucidum cells of their night vision retinas. Their eyes glittering in the dark of the tapetum lucidum cells of their night vision retinas. They have the most powerful bite relative to their size among the cats. They bite the skulls rather than the throats of their prey, often piercing the brain and causing instant death. Their guttural, grating roar suggests nothing so much as the bass note of life force itself. This is the jaguar's habitat range. This is a map of the jaguar's habitat range. This is South America, and there where the green is, the dark green, and up through Panama and Costa Rica, El Salvador, Mexico, a little bit along the edges, and none in Florida or the United States. But for thousands of years, jaguars have had a double life, a figurative existence that dominates art and archaeology of pre-Columbian cultures across much of the species' historical range. From the southwestern U.S. to Argentina, jaguars were worshipped as gods by the Olmec, the Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca, who carved jaguar effigies into their temples, their thrones, their pot handles, the spoons they made from llama bones. Images of the jaguar were woven into shawls and funeral shrouds of the Shavan people, whose civilization emerged in Peru around 900 BC. Some tribes in the Amazon drank jaguar blood, ate jaguar hearts, and wore jaguar skins. Many believed that people could transform into jaguars and that the jaguars could become human. To Desana of northwestern Colombia, the jaguar was the manifestation of the sun. To the Tucano, the cat's roar heralded rain. The Mayan word Balam denotes both jaguars and priests or sorcerers. Among the Mojo people of Bolivia, the prime candidates for the job of shaman were men who had survived a jaguar attack. Even today, when the species has been pushed more than half its original range, its modern signs of this ancient intimacy are everywhere. Each August, for example, in a festival called Ticrara, residents of southwestern Mexican city, Chilapa de Alvarez, petition the jaguar god Tepioloto for rain and abundant crops by parading through the streets in jaguar masks and spotted costumes. The image of snarling jaguar can be found most everywhere, from cans of Peru's most popular beers to beach towels, t-shirts, backpacks, rickshaws, fish shops, and gay bars. Certainly the most mysterious aspect in the crosshairs. Cities' expanded land is developed. Clashes between humans and jaguars increase. When their usual prey is gone, the big cats often attack livestock and are killed in return. A market for livestock, their teeth and bones, prized for trinkets and folk remedies, increase their vulnerability. Keeping jaguars connected. Jaguars are a single species with no subspecies, which means that all populations are connected through migration and breeding. Ensuring links throughout the Americas. Among core populations of these stealthy hunters, which are reluctant to cross unfamiliar area, will be essential as their range is increasingly fragmented by human development. Jaguars' double life in the domain of the shaman, and whose extraordinary states of consciousness that Aboriginal people of the upper Amazon have for millennia explored by way of psychotropic plants. In this occult realm, where native healers claim they can trace the origin of all diseases and find cures with the help of spirits, the jaguar reigns as an ally, a guardian, a vital presence that can help cast out illness, catalyze transformations, and ward off dark forces. Among the cornucopia of Amazonian spirits said to dwell in lakes and rivers, in animals, and in the estimated 80,000 plants, species that compose one of the plant's most prestigious ecosystem, the jaguar is among the first of equals. Mayantuyaku lies about 30 miles southwest of Pucallpa. There wasn't a road here for 4 years ago, said Andre Russo as our truck turned off the clay and gravel highway onto the rough track over the ground recently deforested by ranchers. At the bottom of a steep hill was a sanctuary of cabins and thatched-roofed buildings set among trees echoing with the burble and peal of Oropendola birds. Russo had gotten to know the Mayantuyaku and Maestro Juan over the course of 7 years, studying the boiling river as a PhD candidate at Southern Methodist University, supported in parts by grants from National Geographic. Water heated deep underground wells up through vaults in the earth feed to the stream. Water heated deep underground wells up through vaults into the earth to feed the stream, roughly 4 miles long. Part of it, some of it over 200 Fahrenheit, are hot enough to kill any creature that falls in. 4 generations locals have recognized this geological anomaly as a spiritually significant place. Most steered clear of it, afraid of the spirits that inhabited its vapors and the physical jaguars lurking in the surrounding forests. But curanderos, as many prefer to call themselves, have long been coming here to partake in its powerful medicine. Students of a different science, they learn their medical botany in a process called dieting, in which they consumed and studied the effects of various preparations made from leaves, roots, barks, and sap. Their curriculum also drew on knowledge gleaned under the influence of the ayahuasca. Under the influence of ayahuasca, the psychotropic mother medicine central to the spiritual life of more than 70 indigenous tribes and mestizo cultures in the Amazon. Our second evening at Mayantuyaku, Russo took photographer Steve Winter and me up to the cabin to meet Maestro Juan. He was one of the more famous curanderos in Peru. He was stretched out on a hammock, wearing only pants and smoking a mapacho. At 67, he seemed a man of few words, measured, stoic, watchful, fluent in Spanish, but not the sort of person you could know too quickly or pepper with questions. He has 14 children, ages 13 to 30. Some are now working at the Mayantuyaku. He grew up in the tiny village of Santa Rosa, 10 miles east of the boiling river, the son of a curandero. On a day his father happened to go out without his tobacco pipe and the protection of the master tobacco spirit. He was killed by a falling tree. Juan was 10 then, but was able to continue his education when a curandero from the Ashanika tribe accepted him as an apprentice. He went on to study with healers from many tribes and backgrounds. He founded Mayantuyaku after a brush with death when he stumbled onto a hunter's trap and a blast from a rigged shotgun injured his leg, shattering a tibia. By the time he was carried to a hospital, he'd lost so much blood the doctors thought he might not live. They were sure he'd never walk without crutches. A nurse suggested that a great curandero ought to be able to heal himself, so a week after the accident he took up his crutches and made the arduous pilgrimage up the Pachitia River through the forest until he found a Kame Ranako tree angled precariously over the boiling river, its branches shrouded in steam. From the tree he prepared bone-strengthening treatments. In a matter of months, he had the full use of his leg. Soon afterward, he married the nurse who had challenged him. Together, they founded Mayan Tuyaku near the Kame Renako tree. But now, more than two decades later, the health of the whole region around him is in decline. Much of the surrounding forest has been logged or burned off for cattle. The horizon is frequently flagged with plumes of black smoke. Pictures of jaguars dominate rock art, discovered on more than 80 cliff faces and outcroppings in Colombia's Chiribiquete National Park. For decades, the park, located in one of South America's wildest jungles, remained off limits as the armed groups of the area battled the military. Scientists believe some of the depictions of the animals and the other symbols could be up to 20,000 years old. A precision bite to its vulnerable skull quickly turns this caiman into a hearty meal. The cats will hunt on land, in water, and in trees. The cats will consist of their diet consists of more than 85 species, including deer, buffalo, sheep, cattle, wild pigs, sloths, monkeys, rodents, turtles, armadillos, and birds. A killer bites. Jaguars have the most powerful bite. Relative to their size of all the big cats, agile hunters, both on land and in water, and with jaws that can be sliced straight through to bone, jaguars can feed on armored prey, ranging from armadillos to seemingly impenetrable caimans. Their strong jaws give a force of a jaguar's bite is about 7 times its body weight. Targeted attack. A bite to the skull can cause instant death if it punctures the brain, while bites to the spine can paralyze prey. More muscle power. The jaguar's skull is wider than that of the other cats, which makes room for bigger muscles on top of the head and along the jaw, adding extra force to its bite. Tough teeth. The jaguar's short, wide canines are better for biting than the long ones would be, but they break or wear down with repeated attacks on armored prey. Short jaws act more like kitchen shears than scissors, boosting force near the jaw joint and adding to bite strength. Most of the animals have been hunted out. Even ayahuasca vines are harder to find. The Mayan Tiyaku now imports them from other parts of Peru or Brazil. In 2013, near the road was built. The year the road was built, the Kame Renako tree Maestro Juan had found fell into the boiling river and died. Winter pulled out its laptop to show our host the jaguar photographs he'd taken in the Pantanal in Brazil. The curandero smiled and softened his guard. It was as if we were looking at snapshots from a branch of his family that had moved away. He seemed boyishly delighted watching the video of a jaguar dive into a river and come out dragging an 150-pound caiman up the bank with its jaws. When the show was over and Winter closed the computer, Maestro Juan lit a mapacho. The last jaguar in this area was killed 2 years ago. He said most of the people at Mayan Tiyaku and his apprentices, the workers who prepared the ayahuasca vines, had never seen jaguars except when they were summoned during ceremonies and arrived in visions. For them, the cat existed only in the spirit world. Maestro Juan said he often called jaguar spirits to guard the entrance of the Maloka during ceremonies. There were two, one associated with the spotted jaguar known as Torango, the black jaguar, which he referred to as Yana Puma. He said he would call them at the next ceremony. I had a question that seemed painful to ask because it was plain he understood the slow motion apocalypse unfolding around him, the way of life that was going up in smoke of burning fields and vanished game. And in the absence of the jaguar's roar, how can one call jaguar spirits from the forest if the forest has no jaguars? You can't erase a spirit, he said. The body may have died, but the spirit is still here. And yet he prayed that the jaguar would return, knowing a jungle with a jaguar is healthier than a jungle without the keen hunter that keeps other species in check. They are good, he said quietly. I hope they will come back. It had an earthy taste, the ayahuasca in the chalice, acrid sweet, sort of like molasses. When the last of the portions had been distributed, the lights were doused and darkness rushed in from the forest. Darkness that seemed as formidable as the face of the black jaguar whose defiant eyes we had seen close up, burning through the steel bars of a pen in Pucallpa. Half an hour later, Maestro Juan, signaling that he could feel the effect of the medicine he drank along with everyone else, began to sing the first Ikaro, a monotone chant incorporating phrases from various languages. Plush gibberish, vaguely reminiscent of Ella Fitzgerald scattling her way through Mac the Knife. He sat cross-legged wearing a long striped robe, a headdress of bright green parrot feathers, and necklaces of large brown snail shells, and crimson Huayruros seeds and jaguar canines. His song seemed to move the energy through the room. How can one call jaguar spirits from the forest if the forest has no jaguars? Congregants who were not feeling any effects went up for a second cup. Their glittering eyes in the dark with the tape their glittering eyes in the dark with the tapetum ludicum cells of their night vision retinas. Their glittering eyes in the dark with the tapetum ludicum cells of their night vision retinas. Congregants who were not feeling any effects went up for a second cup, lighting their way to the maestro with their iPhones. Maestro Juan sang a chant that summoned the spirits of certain birds. Sometime later I heard him calling the jaguars to the Maloca. I opened my eyes and found he had walked through the circle of mats and he was sitting right in front of me. He told me later the jaguars came and sat by the entrance of the Maloca, but did not stay long. They were here only for a while, he said, and when they headed back deeper into the jungle, I didn't see any of them. Ayahuasca didn't show me jaguars or any other animals of the spirit world. What I did see over the next 3 hours made for one of the more revelatory experiences of my life. The moment that ayahuasca takes you is called mareación, literally the dizziness. No, I don't think I'll ever be taking ayahuasca. I hate being dizzy, and I obviously hate throwing up. Who doesn't? Look at this beautiful picture. It says a jaguar chases a caiman in the Pantanal, giving the cats broad diet and comfort in the water. Prowling a riverbank is like scanning a buffet line, says biologist and National Geographic emerging explorer Luke Dollar. They will even dive into the water to snatch large fish. As a cub, this male jaguar was smuggled onto a bus in southern Colombia and was headed for the underground pet trade when he was rescued by authorities. His mother had been killed by a rancher whose cow she'd attacked. Since the young cat didn't learn survival skills from his mother, he can never be released into the wild. Today he lives in Cabildo Verde, a natural reserve in Sabana de Torres, Colombia. The moment that ayahuasca takes you is called merisión, literally the dizziness. A phrase that does no justice to the feeling of being ushered into another world, in my case not the world of jaguar spirits, but the secret kingdom of the plants. I felt suddenly understood what it was like to worm through the dark, claustrophobic realm of roots, to reach up through cathedral-like vaults, shadow and light, like the tendrils of an understory vine, and what it's like, and like the light blue tendrils of an understory vine, and what it's like to know, as one intrinsically knows, love or grief, that plants are alive as any animal, simmering with intelligence, with sentence, with what truly seems like kind of a spirit. I felt myself swept up in the poet Dylan Thomas famously described as the force that through the green river, the green fuse drives the flower. The force that through the green fuse drives the flower, given to understand that there is a genius in the universe much larger than our own, ascending order of genius braided into the DNA of every living thing. I heard other people singing out as if in celebration of the same epiphany, voices around the maloca breaking into song, hymns in Spanish, sung by Peruvians who lived near and by and came to ceremonies 2 or 3 times a week. The chants of Maestro Juan and his apprentices, and some of the most exquisite wordless arias I had ever heard, Icaros improvised in the moment, reverberating with joy, glistening like orchids made of sound. I stayed up almost till dawn, scribbling in my journal, knowing that nothing I could write would convey the beauty and strangeness of the night. Cascades of insight, the avalanches of laughter that overtook me when I realized the absurdity of my blinkered materialism. This sounds like a wonderful time. Maybe I'll reconsider drinking ayahuasca one day. The general insanity of my city life in New York, where nature is mostly rats, roaches, and the put-upon trees of Central Park. Over breakfast, I sat next to one of Maestro Juan's former apprentices, who had been stationed on a mat next to mine. He told me that during the my laugh riot, he had blown tobacco smoke my way, afraid I might be going loco. I tried to tell him I had never felt saner. Still, I had to wonder how real it all was. Scientists tend to dismiss ayahuasca as a hallucinogen and attribute many of the cures of curanderos to placebo effects or the power of suggestion, the skillful shamanic use and set and setting. Spirits can't be verified or quantified. It made me queasy to recall the young Canadian I'd met, who had a cancerous tumor in his leg, but had turned down recommended surgery and radiation, and was counting on a prescription of plants and insights gleaned from ayahuasca to cure him. By the same token, Maestro Juan's conviction that nature was teeming with spirits, and seemed a lot less daft in the morning after the ceremony. Not daft at all, in fact. He lived in a world that had not been turned into a machine, where I might hear the sound of the river as merely water flowing over a rock. He heard a chorus of voices, sometimes including the voice of his sister, who had drowned in a lake as a little girl, only to reappear to him years later in the spirit world as Sirena. Who was to say she wasn't real? With his medicine, the maestro had shown everyone in the Maloka that he knew of another world. What we wished to believe about the reality was up to us. So many people from Europe and North America came to Mayantiyacu, and other ayahuasca centers in Peru, hoping to find some approximation of a jaguar spirit in themselves. For some reason, nobody covets an association with Pulcapa squirrel. The broader lesson of ayahuasca for me was that the jaguar's roar is one voice in an ecological symphony, and that too often we focus myopically on charismatic species, the big cats especially, and forgets that a crucial part of what they are is where they live, and thousands of other organisms that live alongside them, ourselves included. Some days later, Russo told me of a vision that one of Maestro Juan's apprentices had had during the ceremony. He had seen a jaguar skeleton lying on its side by the boiling river. Legs, ribcage, skull, perfectly complete. Maestro Juan and Russo had discussed the significance at length. Maestro Juan took the skeleton to mean that the jaguar, in any form, can no longer protect the forest around the Mayan Toyaku. He has no doubt that it is up to him, to Russo, to conservationists everywhere who venerate the jaguar's power and grace, to keep the forests intact. A mother and cub patrol along the Siuaba River after dusk. The dim light offers good hunting. The Maya believe that the jaguar spirits battled underworld forces at night to allow the sun to rise and life to go on. Now conservationists battle deforestation and poaching to allow the jaguar's world to endure.